You're watching ABC4 News with Emily Flores, Glenn Mills, and Thomas Geboy.
Today, a House committee held a first-of-its-kind hearing where victims of violence against LGBTQ people testified and called for action.
Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson has that story.
It's a night Michael Anderson will never forget.
I ran for my life that night and hid, praying and hoping the violence would end.
Last month, he was bartending at Club Q in Colorado Springs when a gunman opened fire, killing 5 people. Wednesday, at a hearing on a rise in LGBTQ violence, Anderson called on Congress to pass an assault weapons ban,
placing the lives of children and adults above our unhealthy obsession with assault rifles.
Matthew Haynes, founding owner of Club Q, also called for action.
Unfortunately, these thoughts and prayers alone are not saving lives.
Last year, according to the Human Rights Campaign, more than 300 anti-LGBTQ bills were introduced at the state level. New York Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney says legislation rolling back LGBTQ rights was also introduced in Congress.
These hateful pieces of legislation have fueled dangerous rise in extreme anti-LGBTQI rhetoric.
But Kentucky Republican Congressman James Comer says it's wrong to focus on crimes against that group.
We should be using our time and resources to conduct oversight into the rise of violent crimes committed against all Americans.
Although the parties disagree on how to handle violent crime, they agree it must be addressed in the next Congress. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
It's been 10 years since the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary in Connecticut. After killing his mother, the 20-year-old gunman shot his way into the school, killing 20 first graders and 6 adults.
In the last decade, families of those victims and the survivors have turned their grief and sorrow into action and legislation. They've formed nonprofit groups to protect children from gun violence by training more than 18 million kids and adults through violence prevention programs and by spearheading gun safety laws under 3 presidential administrations.
In addition to the bad things that we are preventing, we are creating this culture of good things, of students who are more connected and more compassionate and aware of each other and understand the importance and the responsibility of just being there, being connected.
And tonight, Utahns gathering for an annual vigil in honor of those lost to gun violence. This year's event, falling on the 10th anniversary of Sandy Hook, it'll honor those victims and the victims of hundreds more school shootings in decades since.
Leaders from the Gun Violence Prevention Center of Utah, March for Our Lives, and Community of Grace Presbyterian Church, all meeting at that church in Sandy. We will have more on this vigil tonight at 6.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Thomas Geboy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
And good evening, Utah. Over the last 72 hours, it has been quite busy in the weather world because we've been dealing with just continuous snow. At Salt Lake City International Airport, we went 33.5 hours straight of seeing snow and over a foot of snow at the airport. So it's been nice to get all the water. And we got a little bit more on the way, even though we're getting a little bit of a break right now. But more snow will be arriving later tonight. A winter weather advisory will be going into effect. We'll break down those details in just a moment. We're going to continue with the frigid temperature statewide. And really, over the next couple of days, it's going to be even chillier. But by this upcoming weekend, we'll settle into a little bit of a calmer pattern and a little bit more sunshine. We'll talk more about the weekend coming up in just a few minutes. But as we got the winter weather advisory going into effect later tonight, it includes the entire Wasatch Front and Tooele and Rush Valleys. It will begin at 1 o'clock in the morning. Will continue through 11 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. This means we could see some slippery conditions for that Thursday morning commute within the winter weather advisory. 2 to 4 inches of additional accumulation expected. Of course, our mountains are going to pick up a little bit more snow as well. But that means we're going to see some slippery conditions late tonight and first thing tomorrow. So just continue to be on guard and be extra careful if you're getting out on the roadways. Getting a little bit of a break right now, especially in northern Utah and the higher elevations. We're still seeing some light snow and even a few flurries down in some of our valleys. But you look off towards southern Idaho, northeast Nevada, starting to see some of that snow working its way in from the northwest. The upper level low pressure that's been driving the bulk of our weather is continuing to move away to the east. You can actually see that swirl here on the water vapor, but this little trough that you see right here, that's what's going to be dipping in tonight to lead us with that extra chance for snow late tonight and first thing tomorrow. So that moisture's present, and then you bring in that upper level low, bring in that trough, and that's going to set off that snow later on. In the meantime, though, don't have much in the way of cloud coverage up at Sundance, just absolutely beautiful. Of course, Timpanogos with snow. doesn't really get much better than that. So Sundance looking incredible there, and southern Utah looking incredible as well as we look out towards St. George, the beautiful Red Rock. And St. George, you're on the chilly side, but you're definitely the warmest, sitting at 44 degrees, not feeling too bad. But then as you make your way into northern Utah, plenty of 20 and 30s to go around. And Salt Lake City, we've already dropped below freezing, sitting at 29 degrees. So any snow that we get tonight is likely going to accumulate rather quickly. The roads will be treated, but still going to see some slippery conditions, especially on those untreated roads. Let's go ahead and begin the Futurecast. Start at 6 o'clock this evening. And as we go through tonight, you can see that snow moving in from the northwest and for the northern Wasatch Front and possibly down to Salt Lake City. We could see the snow starting as early as 9, 10 o'clock, but then during the overnight and first thing tomorrow, that's when the bulk of the snow will be occurring in northern Utah, and possibly by daybreak, a little bit of snow making its way down to the I-70 corridor. This is mainly going to be a first half of the day kind of event, because by tomorrow afternoon into the evening, the system starts to move away, maybe a little bit of snow remaining in the higher elevations, but we'll be calming with our skies as we go from Thursday night into Friday. But for tonight in Salt Lake City, dropping to 24 degrees, winter weather advisory going into effect, and make sure that you have those extra layers as well. And tomorrow, just going to be a chilly day across the state, only climbing to 30 degrees in Salt Lake City, and St. George will be back in the low 40s, continuing with that through Saturday. But going into this end of the weekend into early next week, St. George, a little bit of a warming trend, possibly getting close to 50 degrees by the early and middle stretches of next week. Then along the Wasatch Front, snow showers mainly during the first half of the day, but overnight lows, once we see the snow move away Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, will be in the teens. So changing out the snow for really, really cold temperatures.
Such cold temperatures.